Integrated 3. It's your part 2 of your pre-calc, your 11.1.2 lecture, and we're on 11-17. We're just going to do 2 problems. It says multiply or divide each expression below. For each rational expression, you can assume no denominator is equal to 0. Leave your answers as simplified as possible. So we don't have to go through and find all the things that make the 0 denominators. We're just gonna simplify these. So the first one is a division problem, but when I wrote it on my paper, I wrote it down as a multiplication problem. I took the second fraction, because it says when you divide by something, that's the same as multiplying it by a reciprocal. So I took the reciprocal of the second fraction and wrote it down. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk you through this. I think you really need to learn how to factor if you're one who doesn't know how to factor, because there's no other way to do this. You have to factor. So you go through and you factor all 4, like the numerator, denominator. So factor this. Well, it's got a 5. The greatest common factor is 5. So that one's done. All right, let's factor this one. So this one has a coefficient of x squared that's not 1. So that means there's extra steps. So first you make a diamond problem. You want something that multiplies to make 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So we're going to multiply to make negative 24, and we're going to add to make the coefficient of x, which is 10. So I know 8 times 3 is 24. That doesn't work. How about 12 times 2? 12 times 2 is 24. So all I would have to do is turn one of these negative. I think I want the 2 to be negative. So that doesn't mean I can factor this as x plus 12 and x minus 2. I have to go through an extra step because there's this 3 in front of my x squared. So I have to make a little area model. Tiny little area model. I always put my x squared up in the top upper left. I think some of you guys do it in the bottom. But I'm going to put my 3x squared here, and I'm going to put my negative 8 here. And then these two are the ones that have to add up to make 10. So it's going to be 12x and negative 2x. It doesn't matter if I would have decided to put the 12 here and the negative 2 here. I just have to be careful when I start deciding what times what equals what. I just have to remember, like, I don't want to put the 3. I know 3x times x equals 3x squared, but I don't want to put my 3 up here, because then when I decide, when I try to figure out what times 3x equals 2x, that's not going to work. I want to put the 3x on this side because it goes into 12. Okay, so that times that equals that. So then here I just ask myself, what times x equals negative 2x? Well, that'd be negative 2. And then I'm going to ask myself, what times 3x equals 12x? Well, that would be 4. And then these two make this one. It's kind of like Polydoku backwards or something. So I'm factoring this as I got an x plus 4, and I've got a 3x minus 2. Okay, and then I'm going to work on this. I have to factor this. I'm going to assume that it's going to end up like something, and then it's going to be like something, right? I want to find out what those are. So when I factor this, 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have to add to negative 8. Well, I know 3 times 4 won't work. How about 2 times 6? Negative 2 times negative 6 can multiply to make 12 and add to make negative 8. Now, I can't just write x minus 2 and x minus 6 here because there's this 3. I have to actually make the area model box. So I like to put my 3x squared up in the top left and put my 4 down here. And then the two numbers that add up to make -8 are -2 and -6. And then I know 3x times x equals 3x squared. I want that 3x above the 6, not over, because 3 doesn't go into 2. I want it up here. So 3x times x makes 3x squared. 3x times something makes -6x, and I think that would be -2. X times something equals -2x. X times -2. And then these two should multiply to make 4, and they do. So these are my factors, those ones on the top and the side. So 3 minus 2. And now this one, I don't necessarily have to make this area model box. I can make the area model box, but I'm not going to because I know I can do it without it. So this one, I'm just looking for something that multiplies to make 12. Well, 1 times -12 is -12. And it adds, to make 1. So 3 times 4. But let's let the 4 be negative. So this one, I can go x plus 3. X minus 4. If you don't trust that, you can make the area model box and do the same procedure that we did for all the other ones, and you'll still end up with this. So now I look at it and I say, oof, where's some things I can cancel out? So I'm looking for matching factors. See that everything's all a factor now. Like I got something times something times something times something. I got 4 factors across the top, 1, 2, 4 factors across the bottom. If anything matches, I can factor it. I can cancel it out. So I noticed that these two and these two are identical. These are almost identical. I wonder if this was supposed to be a x minus 3. Where did this come from? Oh, this was, see, I messed myself up. I should have just made the area model box. This is x minus 3, x plus 4. Sorry. So this x minus 3 cancels out. See, don't take my advice. Go ahead and make your area model box so you don't mess up the signs. Okay, so then I've got 5 times x minus 2 on the top. And then I've got x minus 4 and another x minus 4. That's x minus 4 all squared. Okay, one more. So letter D, going to factor it all out. So this one, the greatest common factor looks like 6. 6 times 3. And then this thing, let's see if I can do this without messing it up. I need to multiply to make -15, and I need to add to make -2, so 5 times 3, so it's going to be x minus 5, x minus 3, I think. And then this one, and this one. So this one, it has to multiply to make -12 and add to make -1, so 3 times 4 is 12. If this were a -4, so it'll be x minus 3, x plus 4. This one, I'm going to take a 3 out. So see how they all have 3's? So that's 3. Because this is 3 times x squared minus 3x minus 4. Okay, and then I'm just going to factor this part and put it right here. So that's the 3, I took it out. So I need something that multiplies to make -4 and adds to make -3. So 4 times 1 is 4. And if it was a negative, so it's going to be x plus 4 and x minus 1. If you have your own way of factoring that actually gets you the right answer, you don't have to factor the same way I factor. There's that. There's that. I think the 6 and the 3, like 3 goes into itself once and it goes into 6 twice. I don't see any more x. Oh, here's an x plus 4 and an x plus 4. And so on top, I have 2 times 2x minus 3. And on the bottom, I have x minus 5 times x minus 1. That's all I have. And that was letter D. Okay, so that's all I'm going to tell you for now. Good luck.